Welcome to the third video in the Huey series. This one's going to discuss the armaments and the weapon systems that you get with a helicopter. To call up your weapon system, it's the same as every other module, which is the left Alt key, and in the UK it's the apostrophe key, or where the @ key is situated. It may be different in your country, so please make sure you look that one up. Now there's a choice of weapons you can have. I've preset mine so it always puts the M60 minigun on, but if you right click you can see that you've got two different types of gun. Now one of the things you've got to be very wary of is with these M60s on, you can see over here that we're now overweight. So I would recommend dropping the fuel down a little bit. Where are we? There's an explosion there in the background. We're still a little bit heavy, but within the weight limits, otherwise this thing handles like a bus. When you say OK, make sure you get a copy back. If you don't get a copy back, nobody is going to be rearming you. So you might be at a base without the necessary provisions for rearming. Or the guys who are running around might not hear you over the noise if they've been attacked. The weapons are loaded on the outside of the aircraft, as you'll see. They're just taking the fuel out, which is the noise you can hear in the background. And that will give us a couple of rear gunners and also put weapons, here you'll see in a minute, and rockets on the side of the helicopter. While they're doing that, we'll have another look in a minute. The main panel for the weapons is down here on the left hand side. Okay, so you need to make sure that the weapons are armed. They're currently off. This little toggle here selects whether you're going to fire the right or the left side or both together. This little toggle here selects between firing the guns or the rockets, and this one selects how many you're going to be firing at a time. Okay, now you can assign all of these to your stick, or you can manually select them. Just bear in mind, in the middle of a fight you don't want to necessarily manually select them and look down away from the target. What I would suggest is you set this to however many you want at a time. You can reset this again by selecting a button on your joystick or throttle, and I've currently got selected so that once I'm airborne I can choose between rockets, guns. That's it, rockets or guns. So once the helicopter started, I'll arm everything. I'll leave this selected to all, although I'll demonstrate both sides for you. So I'm going to start the helicopter. Now I'm not going to explain everything I'm doing. I am literally just going to run through the process. It is quite quick to do. The reason why I'm not going to explain is because it's already explained in the first video to do with the Huey. So I'm going to roll the throttle around. You see the little mark on the left here? I'm just going to put it to there. Now the problems I've had in the past is I've got it tied to a throttle, and you can't do anything with it when it's below that line, and when my throttle actually engages it's already put too much fuel into the system. So now I should be able to start without having flames shooting out the turbo, or should I say the turbine. Here we go. Now, as I've said before, this is round about between 20-25 seconds, or just listen to the pitch. Okay, around about there should do. Right, so as the engine starts up, it's going to get a little bit noisier. I have turned the volume down already. The reason being, when you switch to the gunners or enable the gunners in the back, it gets extremely noisy because the doors are open. Also, I'm not using headphones, I'm using speakers, so any noise comes back around, bounces around the room and back down the microphone. As soon as I've got this thing started, I'll show you another display that you can use. Okay, the needles are in the green, the light's gone off. Inverter on. AFF on. Reset on the buttons. Right, so I'll shut the doors. Okay, right, now if we look down at the gun panel, as I said, we're going to switch this over to armed, right? Currently it's selected for guns, and as I said, when it's forward for rockets, and the rockets are set to fire 2 at a time, and we're going to have things from both, right? When we look outside now, we've got all the weapons on. You can see the rockets, there's M60s on the back doors, M60s on the front. Right, the pilot can control the weapons. If you look up, there's a pilot sight. There's a little black tab sticking out, as you see highlighted. Press the button and down drops the sight. There's a little target that appears in there, right, and it's obviously difficult to see. There's a switch behind here. Now if you move over in the pilot seat, you can just about see this block, and just over by the block there is a switch, right? Now it is difficult to see, so there it is. So when you switch that, you see the pilot sight, and again it's already set to the keyboard. You just need to look it up. You can set a switch to your joystick. Alternatively, you can switch over to the co-pilot side, and there's the switch there. Okay, you can change the intensity, i.e. the brightness. You can also change the size of the target within the view as well. Right, I'm not going to use the guns at the moment, so we can just press the little tab there and it will go up. If you're in the co-pilot seat, also you'll find that he's got weapons. He'll have a target drop down in a minute. You can also switch over to one of the side gunners. Now the camera, when it starts, is placed in the guy's head, but once he's over there you can see that we've got some gun, and we can move this with a mouse. If you've got track IR, you can move the guns with track IR or any other head tracking just by looking. You can switch around to the other doorman. That sounds like a bouncer at a club, doesn't it? The other gunner, and he's got the same over there, and then eventually switch back to the pilot. Now there is a panel using the left Windows key and H. You see this little panel step up. What that panel's telling you, green is good, right, in terms of the health, so that tells you that they're alive. The rules of engagement, okay, so by pressing the let me try and remember, the control key and then number 2, 3 and 4 for the various positions, you can change from hold, return fire, or free fire, okay, and it just cycles round, and you can do that with control 2. So this is the co-pilot, and there it says the left hand gunner and obviously the right hand gunner. You've also got fire mode, so when you select the numbers for that, oh, they've shut the doors, that's good. I'll explain that in a minute. You can see it changing from short, so that's with a shift key, shift 2, short to long burst, shift 3 and shift 4. Okay, so it's probably better to use short bursts, otherwise your ammo is going to go like crazy. Now if you notice it gets noisy, if we look around, you've got a guy on the gun over there, and we can use the Alt key to shut the door. Alright, so it would be Alt 3 and the door shuts. The Alt 4 for the right hand gunner, and you can open and shut the doors to make it a little bit quieter. Okay, right, so I'm going to put the gunners, all of them, on free fire. The gun doors will open automatically. We're now going to take off. I'm not going to use the pilot at the moment for shooting, and we're going to go and have a look at some simple targets. Okay, we'll set that down there, start to take off. Now one of the things you've got to remember, you're flying in a helicopter. This thing will go at over 100 mile an hour, and it's extremely hard to hit any targets when you're doing 100 mile an hour. Just bear that in mind, okay? So basically what you want to be doing is training the guns on the target for as long as possible and allowing the gunners to do the job. Alright. Now down the bottom end of the airbase there's a hill which we'll just see on the right, and just round to the right of the hill hopefully there's some enemies. Now the co-pilot will fire the guns that are on the front. Now if we have a look over, we see he's got his targeting system down. If we switch over, there it is, okay. So the co-pilot's guns through his target. And you might be wondering who's flying the helicopter. Well, I'm still flying it, look. Alright, so you just have to bear in mind we're now flying as if we were on the left hand side seat. Why is that useful? Because sometimes your pilot gets killed and then we can just switch over. Now this is quite heavy, as I said, quite sluggish. So what we're going to do is just go around this hill, and there should be a few targets for these guys to shoot. Because they're on free fire, as soon as they see an enemy they will start firing. Now it's always a good idea, I mean if you're just going to go it alone, it's going to be quite difficult. If you've got 3 or 4 of you together in a Huey and you're going on an aggressive manoeuvre, then just flying a formation that allows your gunners all to get a shot, and then if you think of 4 helicopters all firing M60s, and if there's a level of coordination then you'll rapidly be able to take targets out. But by yourself it's going to be difficult. Now as I said, you can, if you want to, put some of your some of the weapons buttons onto your sticks and things. The only one I've got is just flicking between rockets and ammo. So we'll just come round this corner and hopefully we'll have some targets. That's unless the AI that's flying around have already seen them and shot them before I get there, which is a distinct possibility. There's a chance I might not come out of this. There's a chance that this video is going to end with me in flames, but the objective is to show how it works. So here's the valley. And there's various people. Now they will fire back. Let's go and have a look, see what there is. I'm just about to see them on the road in the distance. There we go. Now they'll probably start firing at me before we fire at them. Looks like there's a couple of trucks on the road as well. They are fairly tame, by the way, the enemy. There's a few gunners down. Okay. Okay, you can hear there. There we go. So we've got the left-hand gunner shooting at somebody. You see him getting rather animated. Not sure what he's shooting at exactly. But I'm turning round a little bit to give him more time on target. I'm worrying about flying the helicopter and let the gunners do the rest. co-pilot might actually wake up soon. You never know. Okay, you can see on that little panel on the right how much ammo you've got left. There's shooting over there, the right guy's having a go. I think the shot's coming in at me as well from soldiers. Oh, that was a bit close. Right, so while I'm doing that, now this is why you would need to put your controls onto one of your sticks, because I'm going to have to land just so I can switch it on, which is not ideal, but hey ho. Let's have a look. So we're disappearing through the ground. Put that on there, put that on there. Flick my little switch, put my rockets on. If you remember, I said I'd set my rockets earlier. Just simply hold down the button. I think I'm out of rockets already. There's not that many rockets on at all. If you have them rippling too much. Oh, we've got guys over here, look. Sounds like there's something around here. If you have your rockets rippling too much, then you're going to end up with problems in terms of the fact that they won't last long at all. I haven't got a track IR on. I wouldn't normally fly in any sort of combat without track IR, but I am for the purposes of the demonstration. You don't need it, it's very useful. Okay. You can see them now firing at various troops and things. These will be guys who've probably jumped out. And there we go, basically. Okay, so what I would suggest is don't go it alone normally. You want to go in a minimum of 2 of you, and then coordinate what targets you're going to be shooting at, and work together basically. Okay, that was it. It's quite a short video. It's quite simple. If there's any questions, please feel free to post it. If you want to chuck us a follow, you're more than welcome, and I'll see you again on another video. Thank you for watching.